This video is based on the fraction review from the Math Prep and Learning Lab, question 6, which is about evaluating expressions for given values. So when you're evaluating an expression, I strongly encourage you to write the expression, leaving a parentheses where the variable is. Then go back and make sure you get the right value for each variable. Be really careful that you include the sign. Then we do order of operations. So first I'm going to multiply this. I can reduce before I multiply. If I divide by 3, I'll get 1. If I divide by 3, I'll get 1. Now I'm just multiplying 1 times 1 and 2 times, actually that was 1 times negative 1, 2 times 1. Here I can reduce ahead of time. I can divide by 5 and divide by 5 for 2 here and 1 here. So now I have a negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. 7 times 2 is 14. I need a common denominator. So I'm going to multiply this by 14 and this by 2. Could have just multiplied this by 7 to turn it into a 14, but I'm going to just use the standard format a lot of people use, just automatically multiply. So now I have 14 times 2, 14 times 2, 14 times 2 is 28. So the denominator of both fractions is 28. So now I'm just going to worry about the numerators. 14 times negative 1 is negative 14. Negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. Now I'm going to combine the numerators. I have a positive box and a negative box. 14 and the 2 are both in the negative box, nothing in the positive box. So my fraction is going to be negative because there's more in this box than this box. How many more? Well, 14, 15, 16. So negative 16 over 28. I can still reduce. So I'm going to divide by 2, and I get 16 divided by 2 is 8. Negative, the whole fraction is going to be negative. 28 divided by 2 is 14. I can still divide by 2, and I get negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4 over 7. So my answer is negative 4/7. Okay, let's try another one. So here I have 4/5 times x plus 2/7 times y. Whoops, I didn't want that y in there. So I have 4/5 times x plus 2/7 times y. X is negative 1/2. Y is positive 1/2. So first I'm going to multiply. I can reduce ahead of time if I divide by 2 and get 1. Divide by 2 and get 2. Then I have 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. And I have 5 times 1 is 5. When I'm multiplying here, I can divide by 2 for 1, divide by 2 for 1, and I have positive 1 times positive 1, so 1, and I have 7 times 1. Now I need a common denominator. So I'm going to multiply times 7 over 7 and 5 over 5. Because I know if I do 7 times 5 and 7 times 5, I'll have the same denominator, which is 35. Then I have 7 times negative 2 is negative 14, plus 1 times 5 plus 5. So I need to do that computation. I have a positive box. I have a negative box. 5 goes in the positive, 14 goes in the negative. Which one has more? The negative. How much more? Well, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's 9. 9 more. 35. I can only divide this by 3, and this doesn't divide by 3, so I know it doesn't reduce. 1 more. I have 2/3 times x plus 5/6 times y. And be careful, sometimes they don't go in order, like they would have put the y first and then the x, so be really careful. So x is 1/6, y is 1/4, It looks like there's no signs to mess with here, so I was just double checking because that seemed odd. I can reduce ahead of time by dividing both of these by 2. I get 1 here. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So I have 1 times 1 is 1. 3 times 3 is 9. Plus. I can't reduce ahead of time here. There's nothing I can do. So 5 times 1 is 5. 6 times 4 is 24. Now, to get a common denominator, I can multiply this times 24. This times 9. And I get 24 times 9, which is 216. 24 times 1 is 24. Plus 5 times 9 is 45. So the denominator is 216. The numerator is 69. So I look at this and say, can I divide it by anything? Can I reduce it? I know I can divide this by 3 because 6 and 9 is 15. That divides by 3. 21. 2 plus 1 is 3, and 3 plus 6 is 9. So these both divide by 3. If I didn't know that, I'd start out. I know 2 wouldn't work, so I'd try dividing them both by 3. It's 23. This is 72. And 23 is prime. It doesn't divide by anything other than itself and 1, so I know I'm finished.